What if the deepest truths of the universe could never be spoken? What if every time you tried to name them, you moved further away from them? In a world built on words, filled with explanations, doctrines, and definitions, Taoism begins with a striking paradox. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. With those words, the ancient Chinese sage Laozi opened the Tao Te Ching, one of the most profound spiritual texts ever written. And with that, he immediately challenged our most basic assumptions. If the ultimate truth can't be spoken, then what are we even doing when we write books, create philosophies, or teach spiritual ideas? Why bother talking about something that defies all talking? This paradox is not just a clever riddle. It's the gateway into the mysterious, elusive, and transformative world of Taoism, a tradition that points us beyond the confines of language, into the vast silence of reality itself. Welcome to The Unfolding Journey, the YouTube channel where we explore ancient wisdom, spiritual philosophy, and mindful living. If you're seeking clarity in a noisy world, peace in the face of uncertainty, and wisdom that goes beyond words, you're in the right place. Today, we explore one of the most mysterious and poetic aspects of Taoism, the limits of language and the unspeakable nature of the Tao. Let's return to that famous opening line. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. At first glance, it might seem frustrating, as if Laozi is telling us not to bother reading any further. But in truth, he's pointing out something profound. Language is not reality. Names are not the things themselves. They're labels, useful for navigation, but incapable of capturing the full mystery of existence. This is a common theme in mystical traditions around the world, but in Taoism, it's absolutely central. The Tao, meaning the way, is the source of all things. It is the pattern, the flow, the origin of life, and the path back to it. But it is beyond conceptual thought. Just like you can't hold the ocean in your hands, you can't capture the Tao with a word. Language is one of humanity's greatest inventions. It allows us to communicate, to teach, to dream, to build civilizations. But it also has its limits, and Taoism is acutely aware of this. Words divide the world. We say this and that, good and bad, high and low, me and you. But the Tao transcends all duality. It is the whole, not the parts. When we use words to describe the Tao, we're already creating separation. Taoist philosopher Zhuangzi gives us the story of a man who dreams he is a butterfly. When he wakes up, he asks, "Am I a man who dreamt of being a butterfly, or a butterfly now dreaming I am a man?" This isn't just a clever puzzle. It reflects the Taoist view that language and logic cannot be relied on to determine ultimate reality. What's real is not what can be said, it's what is. If the Tao is beyond words, then how can we know it? Taoism suggests that we don't need to describe the Tao, we need to experience it. And we do that by turning towards silence, stillness, and direct observation of the natural world. Through wu-wei, effortless action. Through humility, through surrender, we begin to feel the Tao rather than define it. Just as music is not found in the notes alone, but in the space between them, the Tao is found in the quiet between thoughts. A helpful metaphor comes from Zen, a tradition deeply influenced by Taoism. The finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. In other words, teachings, texts, and words may guide us toward the truth, but they are not the truth themselves. If we confuse the finger for the moon, if we cling to language as if it were the ultimate, we miss the point entirely. The Tao Te Ching is a book filled with words, yet its purpose is to lead us to a place beyond words. Laozi was not trying to define the Tao. He was trying to help us unlearn our rigid concepts so we could return to a state of openness and presence. Taoism is filled with paradoxes. Soft overcomes hard. The best action is no action. The more you know, the less you understand. These aren't just poetic riddles. They are deliberate attempts to break the logical mind, to create space for something deeper. By using paradox, Taoist texts dismantle our need for certainty. They don't give us answers, they dissolve the questions. This is not intellectual laziness. It's a recognition that the most important truths cannot be contained in linear, rational thought. Zhuangzi, one of Taoism's greatest thinkers, had a sharp sense of humor when it came to language. In his writings, he mocked philosophers who argued endlessly about definitions and categories. He once wrote, "A frog in a well cannot talk about the ocean." To Zhuangzi, trying to explain the Tao through arguments and doctrines was like trying to describe the sky to someone who's only ever lived underground. Instead of arguing over truth, he suggested we let go and simply be. So, if language can't grasp the Tao, what can? Living. Living in alignment with nature. Observing. Listening. Slowing down. Letting go. Taoism is not about studying texts endlessly or mastering abstract theories. It's about returning to a childlike simplicity, a way of seeing and being that is not filtered through concepts. As Laozi writes, stop thinking and end your problems. Of course, he doesn't mean become ignorant or passive. He means stop overthinking. Trust what is. Let go of the need to label and control everything. The Tao reveals itself not in argument, but in the way you walk, breathe, move, and interact with the world. While Taoism acknowledges the limits of language, it doesn't reject communication entirely. After all, Laozi wrote a book. Zhuangzi told stories. Taoist teachers have passed down wisdom for centuries, but they use language differently. They use stories, metaphors, paradoxes, and poetry, not to define the Tao, but to awaken something within you. Reading Taoist texts is like listening to music. You don't analyze every note, you feel it. The purpose is not to understand every line intellectually, but to let the spirit of the teaching shape your being. In the modern world, we are drowning in language. Every day, we consume thousands of words, tweets, texts, headlines, opinions, debates, arguments. We've become addicted to explanation, to noise. But deep inside, many of us are craving something else: silence, presence, peace. Taoism reminds us that we don't need more opinions. We need more awareness. We don't need more noise. We need to hear the silence underneath it all. You don't have to reject language, but you can begin to see its limits and trust the wisdom that lives beyond it. That wisdom is already in you. The Tao flows through you. And the moment you stop trying to describe it, you might just feel it. So what does it mean to say, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao? It means that ultimate reality is not something you conquer with the mind. It's something you surrender to with your whole being. It means that sometimes the deepest truths are felt, not spoken. And it means that we can stop trying so hard to explain everything and begin to experience life as it is, whole, mysterious, and sacred. Taoism doesn't give you a perfect map. It hands you a compass and whispers, go, watch, listen, trust. The rest is silence. If this journey through the language and mystery of Taoism resonated with you, we invite you to keep exploring with us. Here on The Unfolding Journey, we share ancient wisdom, spiritual insight, and the quiet art of living more deeply and more gently. Subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so you don't miss the next reflection. Like the video if it brought you peace, and share it with someone who might need it today. And remember, the words may end, but the Tao flows on. Peace.